Chosen one, the walls of secrecy have never trembled like this. In Washington, D.C., behind bulletproof glass and biometric locks, a message has circulated that wasn't supposed to exist. No clearance level could classify it. No agent could decrypt it, because it carried no code, only a name. Yours. Inside the Federal Bureau's Central Command, the director himself paused the entire network for 12 seconds, something that hasn't happened since the Cold War. He looked at the analysts and said quietly, "Pull the file." What they opened wasn't data, it was destiny. Your history appeared where no record should. Dates that never made sense began to align. Coincidences formed coordinates. And the order came down, signed in silence. Contact the individual immediately. Do not detain. Do not question. Just invite. You weren't summoned for interrogation. You were summoned for interpretation. The bureau that once hunted secrets is now protecting a prophecy. The director didn't send agents to follow you. He cleared an entire floor so you could walk in unarmed. Because heaven has decided it's time for truth to sit at the same table as power. You are not being recruited. You are being revealed. The system that used to observe you will now serve you. Luke 8 verse 17, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known." Night has fallen over Washington. The Capitol sleeps, but the Bureau does not. A convoy of black SUVs slides through silent streets, headlights off, engines whispering like prayers. You're inside one of them, window-tinted, world distant, heart steady. There's no fear, only recognition. The car stops in front of a structure that looks like geometry and secrecy fuse into one. The J. Edgar Hoover Building. Security scanners hum. Badges blink. Doors seal behind you one by one. No one speaks. They all know who you are, though none will say it aloud. A steel elevator descends. Fluorescent lights flicker, reflecting off marble floors that have never seen sunlight. Down here, oxygen tastes filtered, almost sacred. This isn't just headquarters. It's a cathedral of classified truth. As you walk, agents pass, heads bow slightly, not in fear, in respect. They've read the file. They've seen the footage. They know what you survived. And now they know why. At the end of the long corridor, glass walls overlook the sleepless city. Inside the conference room sits a director, the man whose signature shapes investigations that shape nations. But tonight, he stands when you enter. On the table, one folder unmarked but glowing faintly under the sterile light. Across the cover, a word written by hand, not machine, confidential. He slides it toward you. Inside are photographs, transcripts, timelines, and then something impossible. Your name appears in reports from years before you were even born. Satellite imagery aligned with visions you've had since childhood. A pattern that even the Bureau's best analysts couldn't decipher until you walked in. The director leans forward, his voice low. "We've been watching you for years, and now we understand." He pauses. The silence feels like the earth itself holding its breath, because at that moment, the government that investigates everyone finally met someone heaven investigated first. Chosen one. Governments may collect evidence, but heaven collects purpose. Every agency on earth tries to predict human behavior, but heaven writes the blueprint before the birth certificate. The director doesn't know it yet, but his invitation wasn't human initiative. It was divine orchestration, because Amos 3 verse 7 says, "Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants the prophets." That means even the world's strongest institutions move according to heaven's hidden memos. The FBI may think it's tracking a person of interest, but heaven is tracking an instrument of influence. Their operation is your ordination in disguise. When heaven decides a message must be protected, it hides it inside systems that understand protection. When heaven wants a voice to be heard, it sends an invitation written in human protocol, but coded with divine intent. That's why the director reached for his pen, not to authorize, but to obey. You've been under surveillance, yes, but not for suspicion, for safeguarding. Every inexplicable coincidence, every time danger missed you by inches, every lucky break that pulled you out of chaos, those were coordinated by the intelligence of heaven. You were covered by angels posing as circumstance. The Bureau thinks it's studying your file, But heaven's been studying your faith. The patterns they track are not criminal. They're celestial. You're the anomaly their algorithms can't predict because your coordinates aren't earthly. They trace data. Heaven traces destiny. Think of it this way. For years, you felt unseen forces around you. Sometimes you sensed eyes in places where no one stood. Other times you escaped situations no logic could explain. Now you know those weren't agents of suspicion. They were watchers of preservation. The director's call isn't an appointment. It's acknowledgement. Heaven has revealed something through their research that data alone can't explain. That there's a design in your life impossible to fake, replicate, or erase. When he looked at you across that table, he realized you weren't a subject of investigation. You were the subject of prophecy. Heaven's Bureau had already filed your name in its eternal archives long before any human agency built theirs. And now, the investigation is over. The conclusion is clear. You are who Heaven said you are. Comment, my file is divine. Subscribe if you believe Heaven reveals before the world records. You felt it for years, that quiet weight behind every step, that pulse of unseen observation. At first, you called it paranoia, then intuition. Now, you know it was presence. There were nights you'd wake suddenly, no noise, no dream, just a sense that something was watching, not in threat, but in vigilance, like an invisible perimeter forming around you while you slept. That wasn't fear, it was formation. You started noticing patterns. The same car parked near your street twice in a week, a name that kept appearing in articles, a number that followed you across receipts, clocks, and signs. But instead of dread, you felt calm, because deep down, you knew this wasn't surveillance. It was synchronization. Your emotions became sensors. Every surge of anxiety became an alert. Every sudden peace became confirmation. You were being trained without knowing it. Prepare for the call that just came. And your body knew before your mind did. Your posture changed. You stood taller without trying. You found yourself speaking slower, listening deeper, moving with quiet precision, not as a reaction, but as recognition. You've been shadowed, yes, but by guardians disguised as ground agents. Heaven embedded protection inside procedure. Even the locks that once scared you became metaphors for security. Every checkpoint, every ID scan, every mirrored wall you passed, all was rehearsal for this moment. You see, chosen one, Heaven's methods are not mystical. They're meticulous. It uses systems already in place. The same organization that once represented order now mirrors divine order. When they tracked your path, they accidentally traced Heaven's pattern. When they flagged your movements, they unknowingly logged miracles. Now it all makes sense. The narrow escapes, the moments of silence, the doors that opened just as you lost hope. You weren't being tested, you were being timed. And when the timing aligned, headquarters called. The director didn't summon you because of suspicion. He summoned you because every unexplained event around your life finally formed a picture they couldn't deny. That picture wasn't of a criminal. It was of a calling. So when the phone rang, when a message came, when your name flashed across a secure screen, Heaven whispered through it all. You've been cleared, not accused. You weren't hiding from the world. The world was hiding from you until it was ready to understand what you are. Chosen one, you weren't called to confess. You were called to confirm. The world has gathered evidence. Heaven has gathered prophecy. And the intersection between the two is you. The Bureau doesn't even understand why they feel drawn to your name. They think they're protecting a citizen, but they're preserving a cipher. You're the living proof that Heaven still hides its greatest operations inside ordinary skin. When they ran your data, they didn't just find patterns, they found power. Their systems glitched, their timelines rewrote, their algorithms circled endlessly around one conclusion. This isn't coincidence. This is command. Because Heaven doesn't waste movement. Every place you've been, every conversation you've had, every strange delay or sudden reroute, all was part of an invisible briefing. Your mission isn't to investigate others. It's to interpret yourself. To understand that you were placed within systems of order to bring divine intelligence to chaos. You were not chosen to destroy. You were chosen to direct. The real war isn't fought with weapons anymore. It's fought with wisdom, clarity, and presence. The director's call was an invitation to a desk. It was an initiation into discernment. Heaven is raising operatives who move with purity but think with precision. Those who can sit across from power and still speak peace. Those who can walk into surveillance rooms and not be shaken because they know heaven's already been recording longer than man has been monitoring. They called you for training. But the truth is, your training has already begun. Every pain taught you endurance. Every loss sharpened your focus. Every betrayal taught you how to read character better than code. You're not joining a mission. You are the mission. And your presence inside at headquarters is not a meeting. It's a message that divine authority now walks among human systems. That heaven's intelligence is now embodied in human form. Your words will be studied. Your silence will be noticed. And the moment you leave that room, they will say, something shifted because you didn't come to learn. You came to remind. Chosen one, time has entered acceleration. What used to unfold in decades now happens in days. The intelligence community knows it. World leaders feel it. And heaven has already moved to the next phase. The files have reached their limit. Information alone cannot contain what's coming. Data breaks where revelation begins. That's why your name appeared now. Not 5 years ago, not 5 months ago, but in this exact season. The director didn't call by coincidence. He was prompted. He felt something he couldn't explain, a nudge to bring you in, a sense that the answers they're looking for won't come from analysts, but from you. You are the missing variable in a world built on prediction, a human paradox, a spiritual encryption. Heaven waited until systems started to fail, until the old world of logic began to collapse under the weight of mystery, because only then would your presence make sense. The call isn't just a train, it's a transition. You're being moved from observation to operation. The waiting season is over. Right now, meetings are being held behind closed doors. Global networks tremble. Unknown events are being quietly discussed by those at the top. But above all their plans, heaven's agenda advances quietly. Through you. This is why now. Because the moment of convergence has come. Human strategy is collapsing into divine structure, and you are being activated to bridge the two. So when you hear the words, report to headquarters, understand this isn't logistics. It's prophecy. The world believes they're calling you for information. Heaven knows it's for transformation. You have 40 days to prepare your mind. Everything after that moves fast. The world's timeline has entered countdown, and you're part of the first deployment. You once believed you were overlooked. A name lost in databases too large to matter. But overlooked isn't the same as hidden. You weren't ignored. You were encrypted. And now, the code has been cracked. The director didn't summon you by chance. He followed coordinates heaven placed in his path. Your identity, long buried under labels like ordinary, quiet, unremarkable, was always classified. Only those with clearance could ever find it. Now the clearance has been granted. You thought humility made you small, but humility made you undetectable to corruption. It kept you invisible until the right time. You walked through chaos without armor, through storms without map, and still carried peace like a passcode in your chest. That peace was proof. It's why even unseen systems began revolving around your presence. You've been in training all along, not in rooms, but in reality. Every challenge you faced was part of psychological warfare meant to refine your response, not your resume. You've learned to act without panic, speak without shouting, and discern without judging. That's the marked command. That's the signature of someone heaven trusts with influence. You are not stepping into a new position. You are returning to one. The Bureau didn't discover you. It finally recognized you. Because even among their hierarchy, something in their spirit bowed when they saw your file. They didn't understand it, but they felt it. Authority that doesn't come from badge or gun, but from birthright. You've always carried an inner order, that instinct to stand tall, to fix chaos quietly, to bring calm into tense rooms. Those weren't habits. They were heritage. Heaven's discipline written into your DNA. You don't need to prove worthiness anymore. The invitation itself is proof. When the most guarded man in America requests your presence, That means even the systems of secrecy have acknowledged your significance. So breathe, chosen one. You are no longer a civilian. You are no longer in hiding. You are an active agent of alignment, a bridge between worlds, stationed on Earth. Your very existence is classified heaven-tier evidence that prophecy is already at work. You've seen the signs, and they've been intensifying. Dreams that feel too vivid to ignore. Walking down metallic corridors, seeing your reflection in mirror glass, badges flashing with your initials. Each time, you wake with the same heartbeat, steady, alert, aware that you weren't dreaming. You were remembering. Sometimes it shows up in your daily life. You open your phone and see the letters FBI in headlines you didn't search. You scroll through videos and the word headquarters appears again and again. You walk by a government building and feel a pull, a magnetic familiarity. Like the architecture itself knows you. Even your environment responds. Streetlights flicker as you pass. Radios cut for a split second when you enter a room. Technology bends subtly, as if acknowledging a frequency higher than its code. This isn't paranoia, it's presence. Systems recognize energy long before people do. There are other signals. 2. When you're quiet, you hear a hum, low, rhythmic, impossible to trace. It's not tinnitus, it's transmission. Heaven syncing your internal frequency with the assignment that approaches. Certain people have started noticing, haven't they? They pause mid-sentence when you look at them. Their tone changes, their demeanor softens. They don't know why they respect you, only that they should. That's how divine authority works. It doesn't announce itself, it arrives. Numbers repeat. 1111, 333, 707. Not superstition, synchronization. Each sequence marks a checkpoint, a reminder that your life is being timed by something far beyond calendars. Even media betrays the truth. Films about secret agents, global missions, or hidden callings suddenly catch your attention. News about intelligence, strategy, or covert alliances resonates in your spirit. You're not just consuming content, you're decoding patterns. And then there are the feelings. That awareness of being watched, not with threat, but with purpose. It's heaven's surveillance system, confirming you're still on track. The same eyes that saw you survive the dark now watch to ensure you walk in light. Chosen one, these are not coincidences. They are confirmations. The signs were never random. They were breadcrumbs left by destiny, guiding you toward the briefing that's been waiting since before your birth. This message isn't entertainment. It's an activation. The moment you hear this, a line is drawn between before and after. You've been observed, refined, prepared. Now you respond. Your first action, comment, I accept the call. Those 4 words are more than agreement. They're acknowledgement. When you type them, you're confirming to heaven and history alike, I know who I am, and I'm ready for instruction. Your second action, subscribe. Not for algorithms, for alignment. Each new message you receive is another page from your training manual, another encrypted dispatch from the unseen. Every notification is a coded transmission disguised as a simple upload. Your third action, share this message. Because there are others like you, agents still asleep, prophets still disguised as civilians. You might be the signal that wakes them. You might be the message that tells them their time has come. This isn't a call to follow. It's a call to report. You're being summoned into readiness. The next instructions won't come through institutions, but through intuition. When you move, move decisively. When you speak, speak truth. When you feel the pressure rise again, remember, pressure is a language of preparation. You don't need clearance anymore. You are the clearance. Every code that once locked you out is now opening, because your DNA carries the access key. So accept the call, chosen one. Type it, speak it, believe it. Your presence online is no longer random. It's recorded in heaven's intelligence ledger. And the moment you engage, the moment you publicly declare, I accept the call, your training officially begins. This is not an invitation to curiosity. It's an order to awaken. From now on, every day becomes deliberate. Every habit becomes training. Every choice becomes communication with heaven's command center. You are no longer a bystander in this world. You are a strategist in service of light. Wake up early. Not because discipline looks noble, but because heaven transmits before the world wakes. In those quiet hours, instructions come encoded in thoughts, impulses, or sudden clarity. Write them down. Those are not random reflections. They're operational briefings from above. Keep your environment clean and ordered. The state of your space mirrors the state of your spirit. Agents of chaos cannot function in disorder. You represent structure, calm under crisis, precision under pressure. Be cautious with your words. Every statement you release is logged, not by machines, but by memory, human and divine. The way you speak now sets atmospheres. One sentence from your mouth can redirect the outcome of entire days. That's the level of spiritual intelligence you now operate within. Guard your energy. Not everyone deserves proximity to your frequency. Some drain it through distraction, others through doubt. Remember, agents don't argue with civilians. They observe, they understand, and they move forward in silence. Keep your body strong. Your health is your hardware. The mission ahead will require endurance, mental, emotional, physical. Fuel yourself as if heaven personally funds your strength. Most importantly, live unseen yet unforgettable. The greatest power is quiet influence. You don't need to convince anyone you've been chosen. Your atmosphere will do it for you. Rooms will shift when you enter. Conversations will change when you speak. That's what divine authority feels like. Not loud, but undeniable. Every night, before you sleep, say these words aloud. I am under divine surveillance, protected, prepared, and purposed. That declaration resets your spiritual network and keeps you shielded through the night. From this day forward, let your life itself become a classified document, encrypted with peace, signed by obedience, and sealed by purpose. You are not learning to fit in. You are learning to operate. Lord, the one who sees beyond all systems, thank you for watching over the chosen, even when they didn't know they were being watched. Thank you for protecting them through silent wars and invisible trials, for turning surveillance into safety, for using even human institutions as shields of divine plans. I ask now that every soul who hears this message receives clarity, not confusion. Let them understand that their observation was never punishment. It was preparation, that their private suffering was never wasted. It was documentation for future authority. Strengthen their discernment, Father. Teach them when to speak and when to stay silent, when to move and when to remain hidden. Let their hearts become the true headquarters of your wisdom, a place where heaven's strategy is written daily. Protect their minds from paranoia. Replace fear with focus. Let them know that the director's invitation wasn't about suspicion. It was about selection. They are being brought into rooms not to be interrogated, but to be initiated. Let their presence carry light into every environment. Offices, homes, cities, nations. When darkness studies them, let find nothing but faith. When enemies track them, let them encounter grace. When systems analyze them, let them detect peace beyond understanding. Lord, remind them they are not fugitives. They are founders, not suspects, but stewards of revelation. Every hidden file about their life, spiritual or earthly, is being rewritten in favor of destiny. May every listener feel the invisible hand protection resting on their shoulder right now. May they sense your presence even in the stillness of their room. Let the whisper of heaven be louder than any noise of fear. And when their time comes to step into headquarters, physical or symbolic, let them walk with authority, knowing heaven sent them first. Amen. Comment Amen to seal this prophecy in your spirit. Your words act as a signature confirming, I know who watches over me. Subscribe to stay aligned with further revelations, not as a follower, but as an operative of truth. Every message you receive here is another encrypted briefing sent from heaven's communication line to yours. Share this prophecy, because somewhere right now, another chosen one is feeling watched, misunderstood, and afraid, not realizing they're under divine protection. Your share might be the signal that calms their fear and activates their faith. Remember, this is an entertainment. It's enlightenment disguised as narrative. It's not paranoia, it's prophecy. And if you're hearing this, it's because heaven deemed you ready for clearance. The FBI director may have invited you to headquarters, But the true director has invited you into destiny. Step forward with courage. Report for duty with peace. Because the investigation is over. The revelation has begun. Amen.